Welcome to the Mindless Pursuits Unreal Engine Marketplace review of the Race Course Pack from PolyPixel. This date for this review is March 10, 2016, and the package, as of currently, supports Unreal Engine builds 4.6 through 4.10. I have noticed that in their comments on the Marketplace, they say they've tested on 4.11. I haven't done that yet, so I'm just going with the official supported ones here. The Unreal Engine build that I'm using for this review is 4.10.4. The technical specifications, as you can see here, I'm not going to reread them all for you. You can also find them on their site. I pulled these directly from their listing. So the real basics, you get a car, you get lots of props, you get some basic foliage and textures. You have a complete level that is a track and an asset level. You can look at the other technical information here. The testing rig that I use for this review is my development box. The operating system is Windows 10 Home, 64-bit. I have a Core i7 4790K processor. It's 4-core, hyper-threaded. I don't bother to overclock. At some point I might, but I don't do it currently. I have 32 gigs of RAM, which is running slightly overclocked. I have an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 980 Ti, which is water-cooled. And I use an MSI Z97 gaming mainboard. My monitor is an AOC 1 millisecond response HDMI monitor with speakers, although I don't use the speakers in this one. I use a set of Bose speakers because I'm not wearing my headphones today. So let's look at the asset preview level that PolyPixel supplies so you can see what assets they include in their package. This is the asset level that PolyPixel included with this particular package. So we can move around and we can get a good look at things. There are different buildings you might put by the side of the racetrack. So I would say these buildings are fairly basic, but you know, that's not what you, or at least it's not what I picked up the pack for. I wanted the pack for the racetrack, of course. But I want to give you a good look at everything here, because you might be using them. Now, they're meant to be used in the distance, I'm certain. That's why they're, the textures, of course, are open doors and all that are just in the material that's applied to it. It's not actually, you know, they're not hollow, they're not shaped out, and they shouldn't be because you're racing. There's not really a point to that. Here we've got the grandstand. And we've got, whatever this is called, I don't actually remember what this is called, but just a commentator box, stand, whatever, where they're watching over the race. You've got these couple of trees. Let's get nice and close so you can see how that is. We'll go to this one. And they give you some flags and stuff, which of course you can change the textures on to be yours. Have a nice wave to them there. Of course, these signs can go up on the side of your track, same with those banners. Here's the track itself, the asphalt, which has a nice used weathered look to it. The border pieces for the track. You've got fencing, a couple different types of fencing. Tires, more fencing. If you come over here, you've got one of these high towers. Again, I don't know what they're called. I like racing games, but I'm not actually a racing aficionado. I don't watch it other than just playing it on the computer. So, whatever this is. And then you've got this, which would lead up into the stands going over the road. All really Fairly nicely detailed for something that, you're going to be racing by, so you're not going to be paying a ton of attention to it. But the wood, looks like real wood of its type. It's got a nice texture to it. The metal has a nice worn texture. Everything has good detail. As I said, the road is nice and weathered. So that's the asset level. I'll get way up here so you can get the bird's eye view of everything. Pull back a little bit. Okay, there you go. So there's all the stuff in level. Now, let's add the track into a new empty 4.10.4 project so we can see what you'd have to do to get up and running if it was the first thing you did. So there's nothing else to interact with. So for this first view, what I've done is I've created an empty project and I've only imported the racetrack or race course package in. And so, part of my personal criteria is how neat is a package when it's imported into the editor. And this is very neat. It's very well organized. One root folder, which for me I would move into my libraries folder, but one root folder. And it's got the blueprints. It's got the maps. And then different information for the landscape layers. It's all separated out. Nice and neat. Material, same way, environment versus vehicle. Models, nice and sorted. And then your textures and such. So that's nice and neat. I really like it. There are a couple things that had to be adjusted because I pulled this into an empty project and not an existing vehicle project or anything. Some of the mappings just weren't set up correctly. So in blueprints, I had to go into the supercar blueprint and then go check these and then go to, of course, project settings and add them to the input. So you'll notice I don't have tons of inputs in here. They actually have lights mapped to S, so I shouldn't map S here because then it doesn't work correctly. For the car, of course, I am using the default mesh and such for the moment, but they do include a variant, which we'll come back to. And I've done a build, I've rebuilt lighting quality is at production level, and so on. And it should start up full screen here. And so there we go. And this is the included car, the supercar. And it's a fun little asset. As you can see, you can turn on the taillights there. It's a fun little asset. Actually, there's a I think the handbrake was part of the vehicle template when I looked at it. But it's actually got two variations. It's nice. The course here is kind of slippery, or else the supercar doesn't have much traction. Take your pick. We'll do a drive around so you can kind of see the assets as you'd see them in the world. The track itself is fairly tight, but the level it's sitting on is pretty large. You're going to find I'm going to be sliding around a lot here. So we'll just take a moment and go around the track. I didn't actually look to see if there's sound. I don't think there is any, which is perfectly fine. I do like the looks of the supercar. I think it's kind of a neat looking vehicle. Whoa. I want to take you all the way around the track so you can see everything that they've put together here. I wonder if this would be any better using the gamepad. I didn't set up the gamepad for the empty level. As you can see, I really like the looks of the track. The elements that would be part of the racetrack, the concrete walls there, the fences, all that, look nice as you're moving along. The car itself looks nice. I don't think it would be super hard to modify the textures and stuff if you have Substance or another good painter. If you want to get variety on the cars. I myself didn't actually buy it for the car. I could kind of care less about the car. I just wanted all the track elements, but that's it. As I said, it's actually a pretty nice little car. So we're almost around the full track here. And they've actually got stuff set up that you won't see because there are things like behind the bleachers and in the center of the track that are just canopies, things like that. So you're not missing out if I don't go over and look at them. But whoa! I really want to pair this up with something that leaves skid marks. Okay, so that's basically a run around the whole track. So we'll stop that there. Now, just for fun, let's take that same track and let's add it to a new advanced vehicle project so we can use the advanced vehicle on it and just see how it goes. And we might actually get a little bit more detail that way for a couple of different reasons. Just the way that it's set up and the fact that the advanced vehicle is a little closer to the ground will give us a better view of the detailed textures we get closer to the ground. Okay, so for this, I created a new advanced vehicle project from the template 4.10.4, and I have added the race course package to it. And because there are some things that you should be aware of when you are using this package, at least this is what's happening with me. I am recording from the moment I launch this, so you can get a feel for it. So we load up quickly, and of course there's our advanced vehicle. But here's the first thing. It wants us to import. So we need to import our supercar skeleton. And I'm not certain if any of this has to be changed. I didn't see anything offhand that told me to expect to import something. So I don't know if this is normal or if this is something related to a point release that of Unreal that's causing this to happen. But we'll just say import animations. We'll import all. Then it's going to come back and it's going to ask me to import the variant. I don't know if that needs to be skeletal or not. We'll say yes, but I don't know if it needs to be. It might choke if it's not supposed to be. As you can see, it's processing. Yep, that's so. So we will cancel that one. And of course, the purpose of bringing it in here was to use the advanced vehicle on the track and not their car, so it's not really a big issue, but I wanted you to be aware of it, that it was going to happen. And now we'll go ahead and let this compile shaders, and when that's done, we will need to update the blueprint, similar to how we just did in the empty project. But first things first, we need to get up to content, race course. We will go into the supercar blueprint. And there's the S I was talking about for the lights. We need to change these because the default project doesn't come with that. It comes with move forward and move right. So we'll just plug that in quick so we don't have to screw around with any of it. Okay, we'll compile and we'll save that. And And we'll save it. And now comes the part that some people might get frustrated with. I'm not finding it to be a huge problem for me, but I've seen other comments on it, which is we'll go back up to race course, we'll go to the map, and we'll say we want to open the track. Of course, I gotta save everything I've had in here at the moment, and it loads right up. Other people have said that it makes it appear that their system is locked up. I have not encountered that. It loads and builds nice and quickly for me, so I haven't had any issues. I'm going to go back in here and set this back to production quality for lighting. I'm going to play in a standalone game. Oops. I want to set the settings first. So our standalone window size, we're going to go ahead and go with the 1080i. I don't think we have to do anything else there. And the one change we're going to make is our player is not going to be their type. I actually want to put one of the advanced vehicles out there. So I just need to see here, game mode, which is back under race course. And under man, no, not maps. Blueprints. There we go. Supercar game. I am actually going to change it to our advanced, well, to our vehicle blueprint. I'll compile and save. Back here. And we'll run. Except I didn't launch it in the standalone window. Let's try that again, shall we? There we go. Off and running. Well, let's take a look and see what happens here, shall we? Got that overpass there. The advanced vehicle is not slippery like the other one is, so I can make it around the track without having that issue. Although it was kind of fun to slip and slide all over the place in the supercar. But you might actually get a little better view of things with it being more stable here, so let's keep moving around. I really like the texture of the road as we go past. You can see a lot of detail in the lower right and left corners where it's drawing stuff out. If we get around here, you can see the good textures in the sand and in the borders. The instance trees do pretty well. Something you're going to be flying by. I don't know if I will use them in a racing game I put together, but you can. More sand on the left, looks really nice. And I know right now, because I don't have my headphones on, you're probably picking up a slight echo of the car engine, for which I apologize, but my headphones were making my head hurt when I was doing something earlier, and I decided not to put them back on for this. So we're almost done looping around the track. Here, we're going to cut across this way. Give you another good sense for what the ground texture is like. And then we're back out here where we started. Again, you can see all that nice detail in the asphalt, the grass, and such. Documentation. Now, you're probably saying, why is documentation coming near the end of a review? And the reason for that is very simple. Most programmers, most technical people I know, and that includes game developers, have a very bad habit of not reading the documentation until they run into problems. So, for instance, you saw that I had the issue with importing the second car. Well, if I'd gone to the documentation first, I would have seen that there wasn't really a point to that it's a demo. And so I'm pointing out the documentation now because I'm trying to follow the same workflow I and a lot of other developers use. We're so used to using assets that unless something happens, we tend not to go back to it. We're just, assets are assets. So unless it's something complex, we don't look. But here's the documentation. Let's take a look at their site. So if you go out to the PolyPixel site, they have a page which is the documentation for Unreal 4 for the race course. They've got the overview. They break down the project structure for you. They tell you what's been changed. They actually speak to what you have to alter to get the car to work right off the bat. They talk about the fact that the second race car isn't rigged, it's just for showing you V changes. They have a GIF here that shows you how to adjust some of the different torque curves and all that, where it was spinning all over the place, all those things, which is really nice. Talks about the levels of detail. There's more detail about the track. And they even have a nice link to the spline tool documentation on the Unreal Engine site. They give more information on their landscape, their props, their foliage. They have an FAQ of things that are going, coming from their customers. And it's nice. I like that they consider things. I like that they respond to questions. And last but not least, they offer their support email address at the bottom. So I actually like the documentation. It gets right to the point. This isn't an overly complex package. So what they give you is very sufficient to keep you going. And I would encourage you to take a look at it. So to wrap up, here are my ratings for this package. The environment asset visual quality, I personally thought was very high. Now I know, like I said when we were moving around the asset preview level, the buildings aren't real detailed. They're obviously just mapped on. They're not really 3D when you look in the windows, things like that. But that's not important in the context of how they're expecting you to use them and how you should be using them, which is simply as background that'll be in the distance as you're moving around the track. Everything else, the track itself, the sand, the bleachers, all that is really high quality. I personally thought it was great looking. It had good textures to it. It had nice detail. You could really get a sense of being in a real environment for the track. The playable assets, which is the car itself, the supercar, I give that an 8 out of 10. I like the supercar. I thought it was pretty good. And, in some ways I'd kind of like to see them on their documentation just give a little bit of a breakdown as to what the different material texture points are, so if you're swapping them out, what should be in what slot if it's not obvious. The playable asset ease of use, how is setting up the car and driving it, I give that a 7 out of 10. It's not a difficult thing to get up and running, to get, to make the changes to the blueprint to get it going. The reason why I give it a 7 out of 10 is that, one, if you're applying it into an existing vehicle blueprint, you of course have an overlap for like the reverse. That causes issues. You can't hit the lights, you'll go into reverse, so you'd have to remap that. The importing, I'm not certain if that's should happen or not. I don't remember that occurring when I first purchased the asset, which was a couple of versions of the engine ago. But nonetheless, it's something that they should look at and address if they can. Now for the extras, if you don't know, they include an FBX of the car model, so you can actually make changes to the FBX and bring it back into the game. I thought that was pretty cool. The fact that they included the buildings, which they really didn't have to do for a racetrack, including those distant buildings, and a nice mountain-based level for you to build a track on using their example track. I give that a 9 out of 10. I thought that was great. I think their documentation is well done. I think it's concise, but not so concise that, it doesn't add value. You get all the information you need. You get the configuration information you need. So I'll give that a 10 out of 10. The package organization itself I thought was excellent. As I showed, the way everything is organized is nice and neat. It's easy to find stuff. There's no mistaking what's in what directory. You won't get lost there. And then their demonstration maps, the map for the assets, just display the assets and their example track, I both thought were great. They're clear in the assets you get. The track itself is well done. It's a nice large track. It shows all the assets multiple times, with the exception of the one glass building. You get a good sense of what it would be like to be moving and driving around the track. I give that a 10 out of 10. So my final rating for everything is a 9 out of 10, which is excellent. I am very happy I purchased this pack. I need to actually put it into use in something. And I would encourage you, if you're looking to make a racing game and you want a ready-made track and assets, to give it a look. Hope you liked this review. If you would like to see more reviews, please click the like button. If you aren't already a subscriber, there will be more reviews coming. Of course, there's game development tutorials and other things that are on the channel already, and content will be added all the time as best I can. So feel free to subscribe or recommend it to other people if you're already a subscriber. If you are looking for more information on mindless pursuits, you can go to these links. And as always, I want to thank you for all of your interest and support. That's why I keep doing this. So go out there and make some incredible games. Bye-bye.